right before Ring of Honor, I actually got an offer from NXT. They wanted me to go back there. I guess we'll talk about that in a second.
All right, well, not a bad view for this interview. What do you think?
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Miami's such a great place, great weather, and yeah, good spot.
Well, thank you for taking the time to do this. You know, it's so strange. I tell people I'm interviewing PJ Black today, and a lot of people go, "Oh, you mean Justin Gabriel?" How often does that happen to you?
It happens a lot. It's funny, like, because most people know me as Justin Gabriel, but I was only Justin Gabriel for 6 or 7 years. I've been PJ Black for 15 years, so a lot of people don't really know that, but a lot of people who have been following me since my PJ Black days, since I was 16 years old, they know. And that's my goal too. My goal is to let people know that PJ Black is so much better than Justin Gabriel.
Oh, in what way?
Just like the character stuff, you know, like you're kind of like limited of stuff that you can do and say on WWE TV, and you know, like you get given direction. You know, like on the indies, you can kind of like just do whatever you want. And I feel like wrestling is an art form, and as an artist, you need to express yourself. You know, like if you tell Picasso he can only paint one sunset for the rest of his life, you know, he's going to become bored and miserable. And not that that's exactly what happened, but it's kind of what happened.
I feel like that you know, you kind of went into WWE at the wrong time, because if you went into WWE right now in 2019, you would be PJ Black.
That's true. That's true. Right before Ring of Honor, I actually got an offer from NXT. They wanted me to go back there. I guess we'll talk about that in a second. But yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. But I feel like it was the right thing for me to do. I had a lot of growing to do. Although I've been in the business for 21 years, I still had a lot of growing to do and character development, I feel like. And you know, there's so many talented guys on the indies right now and worldwide. You know, like wrestling's booming, which is fantastic, and I'm learning every day.
So that means you had the offer to go to NXT, and Ring of Honor was on the table, and you chose Ring of Honor?
I did, and there was a couple of other offers too from TNA and stuff, and I chose Ring of Honor because they give me freedom. It's a great deal, you know, like financially. It's only for 12 months too, which after that it becomes like a 30-day notice deal. So
wow.
I have a feeling it's going to be for like 2 or 3 years, but yeah, let's see what happens.
That's like the sweetest deal I've ever heard.
It is, and also like merch royalties on that is fantastic. It's like unheard of. I cannot give away any details on that, but for a wrestler, that's like unheard of.
I feel like if you did go to NXT, this could have been a similar situation to Drew McIntyre, where you go, make a name for yourself in the indies, remind people how great you are, and then come back.
Totally agree, but wrestling keeps evolving every single year. Like with AEW starting up and all these other companies starting up, like imagine a year from now, like they're gonna probably throw big money at me. I'm gonna put that out there right now. It's gonna happen. It's definitely gonna happen. Also, ever since I started wrestling, my goal was New Japan. Even before WWE, my goal was New Japan. It was just hard for a kid growing up in South Africa with a third world country passport to get into Japan, and I tried for years and years and years. I even went to Europe. I moved to Europe for a little while, and you know, like things didn't happen there. I got kicked out of the country. Long story. Moved back to South Africa, but then WWE found me, so I was like, yeah, I'll take the contract. So I feel like that's my next step. My next goal is New Japan for sure, and then after that I can look and maybe go back to sports entertainment.
Wow. So New Japan is still the number one goal?
Yep, totally.
Wow.
Yep.
Why is that?
I just think that my style fits in there perfect, and it's something I always wanted to do ever since I was young. You know, like I've been fascinated with a strong style. Back when I started like 25 years ago, you know, like you get the British style, the holds, and you get the Lucha Libre style, and you get the Japanese strong style. South Africa didn't have a style as such, so like, you know, I borrowed and I stole, you know, like from everywhere. A little bit of strong style, a little bit of lucha, a little bit of the British style, and I combine everything, which I call a hybrid style. And that's kind of like the style that fans kind of love these days, because that's what everyone's doing right now. I'm not saying I started it, but I kind of did start that trend.
So this means if you're under contract with Ring of Honor, that means you can't go to Lucha Underground. I mean, that's done?
Who knows, man? It was such a great ride. I'm very sad about that. I personally feel like it's not going to come back. That's why I had to fight to get out of my contract, and it was a lot of fighting. Like, I know a lot of guys are trying to get out of their contracts right now. I guess I was lucky with that. I did have them put in my ROH contract that if it does come back, I'll go back for a couple of episodes to just, you know, tie up some storyline ends and stuff like that.
I feel like there's a giant audience for Lucha Underground. This needs to come back to at least kind of put a cap on things.
Totally. There's a huge audience. You know, like we didn't do wrestling conventions and wrestling shows when we did the Lucha live shows. You know, like we were doing like movie and TV conventions and shows, which was fantastic because people would come up to me and be like, yo, you're that guy from the Lucha show. They weren't wrestling fans at all, but the Lucha show turned them into wrestling fans. They're like, yo, we watch your show, and then we discovered this other company called WWE, which is fantastic, you know, because we appeal to like TV people that watch TV shows on Netflix, like Game of Thrones and like stuff like that, which is fantastic. So we in turn made a lot of wrestling fans, which I think is great.
I feel like more people have heard of El Rey than they have heard of Pop or whatever network Impact's on these days.
That's true. And it's so sad. Like El Rey has such a good. Like, have you ever watched El Rey?
Of course.
They got some great. Like this. That's the stuff I grew up in the '80s watching and the '90s, and like like they got all the kung fu films, and then obviously Robert Rodriguez he's a mad genius, and like I love his vision. It's just sad. Like I think it was a money issue. I'm not completely sure. Like MGM owns the rights for Lucha, and MGM and El Rey, I think that's where the clash happened. But yeah, I hope it really works out, man.
If you were to go back to WWE, do you think they'd make you Justin Gabriel again?
Oh, that's what I told them to. I was like, I'll consider this, but I want to be PJ Black.
Oh,
I did. Yeah, that's one of the first things I mentioned to Vince.
Because Drew is not Drew Galloway.
I know, but that's his real name, and they don't want people to use their real names, kind of because of trademarks and stuff like that. But I trademarked Darewolf, so I own that, and I've owned PJ Black since I was 15 years old. So I would give it to them. I don't even care like making royalties or anything like that. Just because that's me. That's who I am. That's who I've been my whole life.
How did you come up with Darewolf?
So I was kind of trying to do like a Daredevil character, like an evil Knievel character, right? And in 2012, 13, remember when Twilight was big, the big movie? So kids started calling me Cape Town Werewolf. Okay. And it kind of just took off, and we kind of ran with it. But then I wanted to do the Daredevil character, so I took the word Daredevil and werewolf, and I just made the word Darewolf.
And if you watch anything on your YouTube channel, you're crazy.
People say that, but one man's crazy, another man's sane, I guess.
I mean, I've jumped out of planes before with another human attached to me. I've hang glided once again with another human attached to me. You're pushing these boundaries like crazy.
I know, and it's weird because people think I'm crazy, and that might be crazy to some people, but for me, it's a form of meditation. Like, people think like adrenaline junkies, all like, next rush, let's go. But for me, like, for an example, when you stand on the edge for a base jump, you stand there and you absolutely have to clear your mind. You don't think of bills you have to pay, stuff that you did yesterday that you regret. You don't think about anything. You're completely present in that moment, and that's like a forced meditation to me, and that's what I like. It's the same with skydiving, like you have 60 seconds, you've done it before, you have 60 seconds free fall. Like, you don't think of anything, right? You just think of that exact moment. You look around, maybe you see some clouds, you're like, wow, like you don't think of anything. It's fantastic. It's like a forced meditation, I guess.
But when I landed, I felt like I could fight a bear or something like that.
Right, and that's the adrenaline. And I promise you, it gets better every single time. Like, every single time it gets better. Like, every time I jump, I learn something new. The feeling gets better. The feeling is different. Like, people think like skydiving is like a bucket list thing. Like, it's cool to check it off your bucket list and do that one jump, but it's really a lifestyle. It's a sport. Like, once you get hooked on that, man, it's all over. Your bank account will be drained. I promise you that.
Well, let's give a little plug for PJ Black's YouTube channel. We'll link it below. I think that you'll maybe get a lot more subscribers from people who now are finding out that you have a YouTube channel.
Yeah, I appreciate that. It's just PJ Black 450 on YouTube.
I want to also try base jumping, which is not really possible here in Florida since we don't have anything that's higher than like 50 feet off, above sea level. Where could I do this in the United States?
Also, it's illegal in the U.S. everywhere.
Well, then I won't do it here, okay.
There's one bridge where it's legal, and a lot of base jumpers from all around the world actually go there to train. It's in Idaho, okay. Idaho, there's a bridge where it's like a 900 feet, maybe less actually. No, it's 486 feet, I'm sorry.
Okay, all right.
And base jumpers from all around the world go there, but you need to get 200 skydives first, and you need to be really good at canopy control before you can get to that level. It's kind of like, you have to look steps, and then after that it's like there's a wingsuit flying. You need 200 jumps out of a plane for that, and then you kind of like get to base jumping, and then wingsuit base jumping, which is like the ultimate form of extreme sport, I think.
And how many skydives do you have?
1,000.
Good Lord. Okay.
Which sounds like a lot if you don't jump a lot, but like, the Red Bull professionals, those guys have 25, 35,000 jumps, some of them.
You can also do numerous jumps in a day.
Oh yeah, totally. Like I would never go just do one jump. Like if I get there,
crazy.
I have 2 rigs, so like while I get someone to pack my rig, while they're packing, I'll go up and do another jump, and I'll just knock them out. Like if I'm training for something on a weekend, I'll knock out like 20, 30, 40 jumps sometimes.
Wow. So when you talk to your friends or family back home, what do they think of your accent now? Because it's kind of like a hybrid South African-American accent.
It is. Back home, my family, my mom says, like, you sound American. And I'm like, no, I don't. Like, I still have a little bit. But when I do go home, my accent changes completely. And I lived in Europe for 5 years, too. When I speak to my friends in London, somehow I have an English accent. I don't know. I don't know if it's like I kind of like just adapt to my surroundings or whatever it is. But, yeah, it's weird.
Can you put on, like, a perfect American accent?
I don't know, man. I can try.
Oh, wow. The only thing I can say with a South African accent is South Africa.
South Africa.
South Africa.
Black olives. That's the one.
Black olives.
That's the one.
I don't know.
That's the one people used to go to usually.
Do you have that same sort of meditative feeling when you're standing on the top rope about to hit your 450?
I do. It's, you know, like performing in front of people. It's like meditation in a way. You know, like I block out everything. A lot of people, like, you kind of feed off the energy of the crowd, but you kind of like block it out at the same time. It's quiet but noisy at the same time, if that makes any sense whatsoever.
Sure.
But yeah, like the stuff that I do off the top, I've been doing since I was a little kid, so I don't have to think about that much. Like when I'm standing on the edge, I'm about to base jump, I have to think of every single variable. What if this happens? I'm gonna go to point A. If this happens, go to point B. But in wrestling, I can legit just close my eyes and do the 450, and it happens.
This is the noisiest helicopter ever. Wow, jeez. You should jump out of that. Why not?
I've jumped out of quite a few helicopters, actually. If you go to my YouTube page, there's me jumping in a Pikachu onesie onto a golf course down the road. Actually, there's a bunch of different cool stuff.
What's the worst that you've ever landed a 450?
You know, I've been lucky. I haven't really landed it badly. There was one time that I hit the 450 on Vince, and I got winded so bad. Like, I was so winded, but I was trying not to sell it. And and Vince also never sells anything.
You also hit the 450 and got a clean victory on John Cena. Not too many people can say they've got that.
4 times, actually.
Yeah.
4 times I hit him on the 450, beat him with it. And I think and if you include tag matches, it was like 5 or 6 times. I was actually wrestling John on live events, which is not televised, for like 6 months straight.
Wow. I mean, and John Cena is now putting people over clean, but there was a good portion of time when that was not happening.
That's true. That's very true. You know, and a lot of people hate him for that, but, you know, like, it also made a lot of people stronger and work harder at the politics stuff, if you will, if that is even a term still. But he did. He was one of the guys that pushed for the 450, where everyone else said no at the time, because, you know, WWE was like going away with that. And he was one of the guys that pushed for that, so I'll always be grateful for that.
And now it's starting to come back. I mean, you've got guys like Ricochet, who, had he come to WWE 5 years ago, his moveset would have been totally reduced. What do you think about a guy like him?
Oh, man, I love working him. He's one of my great friends. He's fantastic. We had many discussions. He's always wanted to go to WWE, but like a year or 2 ago, like the option wasn't there, and he was scared of some things. But he was like, you know what, I'm just going to go because I have to experience it, because he's friends with me and Johnny and Rey Mysterio and guys like that. And he's like, I have to experience that. I've heard all the horror stories, but I've heard some good stories too. Like, everyone needs to experience it, you know, like everyone, when you grow up a wrestling fan, that's where you want to be, ultimately. So you need to experience wrestling in the WWE, and that's great that it's evolving right now, and that you know, like the handcuffs are kind of like the proverbial handcuffs are kind of coming off the guys, and you can see with Ricochet, and he pushes himself like every single time. He's a fantastic athlete.
I feel like Ricochet's one of those guys that if he's on the card, or Johnny right now, Adam Cole, it's going to be an unbelievable match.
Oh, it's true, man. That whole brand, like, I mean, they got so much talent. And even like the main roster. The main roster has too much talent, and that's why it's a problem sometimes, because there can only be so many top guys, you know? I feel like talent just gets lost sometimes. Yeah. Like, you know, like if they had to, like the Attitude Era, like every single character on the show had a storyline. If they had to do that now, because I mean, they have 3 hours of Raw, 3 hours of SmackDown, they have all this TV time. Like it's very possible. I just don't get why they don't do that.
So with all of your high risk stuff, have your worst injuries been outside of the ring?
Yep. Touch wood, I've never been badly injured inside the wrestling ring. It's funny, like Wade Barrett says this all the time. He's like, man, you're the only person that does crazier stuff outside of the ring than you do inside of the ring.
It's the same with Jeff Hardy. His worst injuries have been outside.
Yep, I know. I'm a huge fan of Jeff. Like, I've kind of like based my career on his, and yeah, same thing with him. He's such a cool dude.
So is your worst injury the surgically repaired, reattached finger?
The finger, and I have plates. 2 steel plates in
I see the scars.
And then 27 screws.
Oh yeah.
In that leg, which they told me I'll never be able to wrestle again, and that's why in the hospital I was in bed for 6 months, 12 months out of wrestling, and then I started my rehab. I had to relearn how to walk, and they told me I'll never work out, I'll never wrestle again. And right there I said to the doctor, I was like, I'll show you. And it took about 2 years, and now I'm back to doing backflips.
Wow.
Jumping out of planes again.
So if you hold your finger up, can we see which finger? Oh, you can't even see.
You can't even see, but if you look closer, you can kind of see the scar there.
Yeah,
and you can see the nail kind of grew up kind of weird.
It took you're giving us the finger, but you're not.
It took about 2 years for the nail to grow out, because it grew out in every single direction.
Man.
But yeah, full function of it now.
That is a talented doctor. Wow.
It was a female doctor back in South Africa. She's fantastic. Also, she told me that 9 times out of the 10, this wasn't possible. And I was like, well, we should try it. Like, if there's 10% chance, let's take it. And then, yeah, she did a fantastic job.
So I was interviewing Adam Rose recently, and of course there were the rumors that you were supposed to be the bunny. He also said the original plan was that Vince was going to be the bunny.
Well, that was what I pitched, actually. I pitched a bunch of different things. It was supposed to be me, the bunny. It was supposed to be different people, but they wanted like someone who can do some high-flying moves and some cool stuff. Let me tell you the pitch I had for Vince, actually. Okay. So the bunny becomes like really grizzled. He becomes like a hardcore champ, kind of like in the Attitude Era. There's shots of him backstage, like smoking a cigar, and just dried blood on his fur and just dirt. You know, he keeps losing matches, but he's always there doing crazy stuff, falling off ladders, falling off cages, you know, like he just never has any luck, and he just becomes this grizzled vet. And this is one spot scene, whatever, where he gets legit knocked out, and the referee maybe throws up the X, and it cuts to a backstage segment, and they take it off, and it's Vince. Because I said to Vince, I was like, if it was anybody else in the world, everyone will be like, oh, that's cool, whatever. Yeah. But if it's him, how cool would that have been? Yeah. And he's like, why the hell would I do that? And I was like, if I was a crazy billionaire, that's exactly what I would do.
He could be like, it's me, Adam, right?
Exactly. Oh man, we had so many pitches for that. We were gonna turn it into like the Donnie Darko character, make the bunny like really dark. Like there was talks of like black fur and all kinds of stuff, and it just went nowhere. Even Hunter said like if this was the Attitude Era, all those things would have happened. But just because of where we were right now, I guess. You know, but maybe it'll come back someday. Who knows?
So what's the chain of command when you have a pitch like that? Does it go to Hunter first and then Vince, or do you work your way up with some agents first?
Yeah, so right now it's obviously a little bit different, and it changes all the time. There's so many backstage writers, and it kind of like you can kind of pitch it to them. You can pitch it to Hunter, whoever. Like you can send emails as many times as you want. I just knocked on Vince's door. I went straight into it, and I was like, yo, this is what I got.
And he has an open door policy?
Kind of. I feel like back in the day, it was always open. Like right now, it's kind of hard because he's always busy, and there's so many guys. Imagine like what they have like over 100 guys on the roster.
It's crazy.
If 100 guys had to go knock on his door, it's a little bit different. But I think he appreciates that. Like he likes people. He likes the interaction. He wants to be like one of the boys.
Yeah.
Right now, it's hard because like, you know, there's so many people underneath him. It's just hard, and that's what makes it hard because it has to go all the way up the command and then come all the way down. Even when you speak to him, like you have to like be there every single week. Like I'll give you an example. When I pitched the Daredevil character, I was like, I wanted to come to the ring with my motorbike, just like wheelie around the ring, maybe park it there, whatever. And he's like, yeah, we can maybe do that. Why don't you bring it to TV next week? And I think we were like in Texas, and I was still living in Miami. Well, I was living in Tampa actually at the time, and I was like, how am I going to get my bike there? That's just like the reality that he lives in. It's you know, like we want a motorcycle there, get it there. So I kind of like looked at the schedule, and I waited till we were in Tampa, And I was like, yes, now I'm going to show him. I drove my bike to the arena and I was like, I'm going to show him today. And then something happened. He got a phone call and he had to leave early. And I was like, that was like my one shot. But like Hunter was there and I was like, yo, dude, I got my bike out back. Just come have a look at this. And he was like, I'm busy. So I grabbed one of the camera guys and I was like, yo, just come film this.
Yeah.
And I never went anywhere, but I got some cool content for my YouTube channel. That's also on there.
Nice.
Yeah.
So with the Ring of Honor contract, you're not traveling as much, right?
I am. Like right now, I'm not actually, but I feel like once like my contract officially started like a week ago, my first official match is in Vegas. We have two tapings, the 16th and 17th of March, which is next month. And I feel like after that, I'll be traveling full time. Also, I have like 40 independent bookings, which they let me honor.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna be pretty busy in the summer. So this week, 2 weeks that I had off, it's actually really good resting my body.
So your prediction is 1 year from now, big money offers for PJ Black.
Oh, 100%, like guaranteed, like watch.
From AEW?
Whoever.
Ring of Honor has to step up?
Whether it's Ring of Honor.
New Japan,
that'll take.
NXT?
And NXT, who knows, whatever it is. Like, hopefully it's New Japan.
But what if AEW becomes what everyone is hoping it might become?
Man, I hope it does. I really, really do. Like, if we can somehow recreate the Monday Night Wars, not that it's going to be on Monday nights, but if we can recreate those wars, that's great. I mean, that's great for fans, it's great for wrestlers, and it's cool that we have so many options and places to go. I feel like that's what the business needs right now, so I'm really hoping that happens.
All right, so I'm going to drop your YouTube channel below. Anything else we should, shout out or link below?
pjblack.com. You can get some cool merch. And all my links are on there to my social and my YouTube channel. And I'm pretty active on Instagram pretty much every day. So yeah, I'm one of the actually few guys that responds to like every single fan. I try to. So yeah, pjblack.com.
I'll also promote. This is Matt Cross's company. Wrestling is Forever, because obviously wrestling is forever, and Matt Cross is a good friend of mine. So there you go.
And Matt Cross is an awesome dude. Really, really awesome dude. Support Matt Cross. Wrestling is Forever. These shirts are so cool.
And you're also an awesome dude. PJ.
Thank you so much.
Such a pleasure. Thank you.
Hey, I appreciate your time, man. Thank you so much.
Well, that interview with PJ couldn't have timed out any better. He was in Miami for a little over a week. There was a Ring of Honor show here in Miami on Sunday. I live in Miami, so it was perfect. He swung by my work. That's where the beautiful view is. We can kind of see. Yeah, we got some water. What if I touch the screen? Can you see the water? There we go. See the water if I touch the screen. Now we'll touch my face. Oh, we're bright again. This is also the first interview I've done wearing sunglasses in a long time. So I figured, why not do the wrap-up video wearing sunglasses too? Although you can clearly see I am holding a phone in the reflection there. I'm excited to see what happens with PJ Black in the next year or so. And if AEW becomes what so many people are hoping that it may become, PJ Black could be a champion in AEW, a high-flying champion, or who knows, maybe he re-signs with Ring of Honor, and maybe Ring of Honor, the level of their wrestling gets taken up a notch as AEW is taking things up a notch, WWE takes things up a notch, and then for us as the fans, just a great time to be a wrestling fan. How about that story about Vince and the bunny and how that all could have played out? I personally would have loved to see that. That would have been great. So thank you so much for taking the time to watch this. And I mentioned it in the interview, but this shirt is an awesome one. I get tons of comments on this all the time. It's Matt Cross's company, Wrestling is Forever. I'll throw the link below. Why not? I'm putting all kinds of links below. We got PJ Black's YouTube channel below, get Matt Cross's Wrestling is Forever below. We'll put them all below. And if that background from the PJ Black interview looks kind of familiar, you may recognize it from my interview with The Big Show, which I will put right there. We did it in the exact same spot a little over 2 years ago. That video now has over 3 million views, which I am incredibly grateful for to you guys. You guys are awesome. Thank you for being a fan like me and just enjoying geeking out with me when we talk to these wrestlers. It's awesome.